Space, the final frontier. Join us for a bold conversation. Our prime directive? To recap our favorite Star Trek shows, both new and old. To engage in debate about all things Trek. Prepare to energize with phasers set to stun.
Welcome back to an all-new episode of Phasers Set to Stun, where we continue to show our love for everything Star Trek in this ongoing series from A Film by Podcast, which focuses on every dimension of the expanding Star Trek universe by covering television, movies, animation, directors, merchandise, and much, much more. Plotting your course on this final voyage of the USS Cerritos is your core Trek crew. I'm Wayne Whited.
I'm David Burns.
And I'm Scott Hoffman.
Today we are talking about the 9th episode of the 5th season of Star Trek Lower Decks, titled Fissure Quest, written by Lauren McGuire and directed by Brandon Williams. So Scott, why don't you give us a short summary of the episode?
So like you said, Wayne, we're in the next to last episode of Lower Decks, and they're going out with a bang. This was one of the best of the series on so many levels, in my opinion. We're further than ever into the quantum fissure plot thread, where we catch up with Captain Boimler in the Defiant class Anaximander. I'll try saying that. They just shortened it to Nax. He was recruited by Section 31 in Season 2, and we're finally finding out what he's been doing. His crew has been chasing the people behind these fissures and trying to clean up the mess they left behind. He's joined by T'Pol, Curzon Dax, and a bevy of ensigns, all who are Harry Kim. Things change when a 2-Pip Kim comes aboard, along with an alternate mariner, and they finally catch up to the culprit of this multiversal mess, the USS Beagle. Their crew is from a different type of Starfleet, not the mustache-twirling villain type, but the type that explores different realities to learn more about ourselves. This is packed with so many details and amazing characters, I honestly just want to dive in and start talking about it without saying any more. I also can't wait for the next week's episode, even though I don't want it to end. I want to say a quick congratulations to both Lauren McGuire and Brandon Williams. Obviously, we've talked about Brandon a ton. We've had him on the show. Yep. Just seeing his name in the credits for this next last episode is amazing, and he did not disappoint with his direction, nor did Lauren with the writing. It was both just pitch perfect.
And we now have Boimler with a full beard. So we're good.
Yes. Yeah, finally. That's how you know it's ending, right?
Yeah, that's how you know it's ending. He's at the Riker beard now. We're good.
All right, David, what do you think of the episode?
There is a lot to enjoy about this episode. So much is crammed into this little amount of time that it's over before you realize it. One of the things that I love that they addressed in this is because of, tackling the whole multiverse thing. I loved that because I'm so sick of it with Marvel. I'm so sick of it with DC. I'm so glad that they tackled that. Like, I'm so sick of the multiverse. So right. I loved all of it. And I also love the fact that the bad guy really wasn't the bad guy. It was like they didn't realize what they were doing. And then, we get the 2-Pip Kim, who actually causes the biggest problem of all, which obviously we're going to find out in the last episode. But overall, I love this episode.
Yeah, I agree. Boimler said that I'd be happy to never hear the word multiverse ever again, and I've always agreed with that, especially, with all the Marvel stuff. But this is the first time Star Trek has ever tackled that I'm aware of, and I'm really enjoying it. Especially because we get to see a lot of returns. It's great seeing some love given to Star Trek Enterprise with this episode.
Yes.
And of course, it's incredible to hear Jolene Blalock back to play to Paul. I mean, she's been very elusive when it comes to Star Trek. She rarely ever makes a convention appearance or talks about the show. It's not that she hates the show or she's trying to distance herself. She's just too busy. Yeah. I loved her character on Enterprise, and it's so glad to have her back because she was such a strong lead. Yeah. And all of them. I mean, it's great hearing them all. I never thought that we would ever see, Bashir and Garrick or any of them, back doing Star Trek again. Here
Right.
they are.
It's funny. It was kind of like that Data moment when a few episodes ago when I had to stop and listen. I was like, is that Brent Spiner?
Yeah.
And then in this one, to Paul, I had to like stop and listen. Is that Jolene? And then sure enough, I thought, oh my god, it is.
Yeah. And it's great that, the bad guy this season ended up not really being a bad guy at all. It just,
Right.
a crew, a different Starfleet exploring the universe, the different universes. They don't even know they're causing any damage.
Right.
But, now we got this universe-threatening phenomenon for the lower deckers to solve. And I think, honestly, this is a perfect way of ending the series, since they have to end it, by giving them something that's just like exponentially ridiculous and difficult to solve. I can't wait till next episode to see how they solve this.
But what a jerk move.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It is.
Where to send that to the one reality? Like, what? That's not fair. The whole ended when he looked at the tablet and goes, oh my god, we're all gonna die.
Yeah, I know. That was my favorite. Oh, what a cliffhanger.
But I mean, great that he has that much faith in his own lower decks crew.
Yeah.
Right. He knows that if anybody can handle what's coming, not necessarily are they going to be able to stop it, are they going to be able to live with it, roll with it, do whatever they need to do. Right. They're the only people that can handle it. It was great seeing that other Boimler, Dave, like you were saying, like the whole multiverse thing. He just seems so exhausted with the whole thing.
Yep.
Which is kind of speaks to how they wanted to handle this season, right? We're not going to throw like crew cut. What did he say? Crew cut Neelix.
Yeah.
Add or anything else like that just to do it, just because it feels like it's a bit lazy. But the ways that they brought it in was fantastic. I mean, seeing T'Pol was great. Knowing that they got the original cast for Garrick and Bashir, I know that's a deep cut for DS9 for them to be married, and I love that he's an EMH. That was a nice little touch.
It was.
But the character I loved seeing most was Curzon Dax, who I don't remember ever seeing. It was just all these stories from Cisco about the old man and all this other kind of stuff.
It was so brief appearances. It was so brief flashback appearanrances that you can barely say he even appeared.
Yeah.
We mentioned a few times about the animation. I know we talked about that last week, that the animation was really good. We talked about the one shot when they were on the Klingon world and how incredible that was. There's one shot in this episode that I was like, whoa. That was a shot when you get that really distant shot of the two ships between the two fissures. What I'm talking about? I loved that shot. That was incredible. And that's like one of my favorite shots of this whole season, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. The whole episode is beautifully animated. From the characters' movements to the action, it's just wonderfully directed by Brandon Williams. I mean,
Yes, it was.
He does a great job, and he really knocked it out of the park with this one.
Yeah.
Well, animation-wise, one of the ones that hit me the most was when T'Pol is trying to take all that Katra from Curzon.
Oh yeah.
And there's that little blur moment where you see kind of two Curzons on either side. When I was watching this the second time, I was kind of wondering if that would be the only time that we saw this crew, because I kind of want to see like more with T'Pol, more with what happens
I do.
there.
Yeah.
How does that pass on, right?
Right.
Brilliant casting. We got so many great people coming back.
Alfred Woodard.
Oh,
Alfred
there's a
Woodard
having
surprise.
her back
stand-up.
with
There's
a
Lily
shocker.
Sloan. That
Yes.
was the Data moment where I was like, I don't recognize. Oh my god! And I kind of realized at the same time that Mariner did, right?
Yeah, I
It's
didn't
Lily
recognize
Sloan.
her either at first until she said her name. Like, oh gosh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out who that was.
Now the fact that they are wearing kind of Enterprise era uniforms. Is it fair to say that maybe the USS Beagle is one of the first ships that they've been using for this purpose? Because it seems like, wouldn't their Federation have figured out the whole two fissure problem that they were trying to solve?
I would say,
think
it
so.
was probably
Yeah.
one of the first. Yeah.
Okay. I'm also kind of interested in how long this has been going on. So if William Boimler has been recruited by Section 31 and has been working with them the whole time on this fissure thing, is that how long it's been happening? It's just behind the scenes that I didn't know it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Could be.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
How about the panel keeps coming down and hitting people?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It even hit the ship. I lost it when it hit the ship. I'm like, are you kidding me?
And I loved seeing a Defiant again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
oh, that was fantastic. You can tell there's a lot of love for DS9 on this series.
And they put a lot of attention to detail because the sets matched the Defiant sets that were used in Deep Space Nine.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like the line where T'Pol and Mariner were talking about big Starfleet nerds,
Oh, yeah.
and T'Pol kind of implied that Archer is a giant Starfleet nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Lily has a great line where she talks about Zeph didn't get it for a minute either.
Yeah.
So it's almost kind of saying like maybe an older character isn't willing to kind of see this new way of exploring, but saying that it was exploring the multiverse is to learn more about ourselves, which just seems like a classic Lower Decks kind of line and something that crystallizes what they've been saying about this season and the series all along. Right? It doesn't have to be some kind of multiversal threat. It's a temporary one. Like it's kind of born and wraps up in the same episode here, right? Even though we see there's repercussions in the next episode, but I don't know, that kind of focus on humanity is great to see.
And one of my favorite lines in this episode, probably for the whole season, was when Dax says, "Calm down, everyone's going to get their ass kicked."
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
Love that line.
yep. Fighting with the Batleth, or I'm Harry effing Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That had to be really cathartic for Garrett Wang to say that line.
So now that we've given our opinions on the episode, let's take a look at the characters themselves. Which character do you think shines the most this week? David?
I have to go with T'Pol. We know how awesome she is from Enterprise, and she carries over into this episode with that. But what she did in order to save the memory of Dax really sent that over the top for me, in my opinion. So she's smart, she's brilliant, she's beautiful, she's everything in one package. And she shows that again here in this episode. So without a doubt, T'Pol.
Scott?
I'm going to say Harry Kim. I just can't identify which one. Because there's one that says a line when Two-Pip Kim is, going off the deep end and starting to take things over. One of the Harrys talks about just enjoying the experience of being in Starfleet. That it's valuing relationships more than rank, which just seems to speak to like every other Harry is fine with it. There's just one that was just so fed up with it that he couldn't stand it anymore. So the fact that they don't necessarily want a Pip makes them Pip worthy to me. What about you, Wayne?
I chose Harry Kim as well. It's obvious that they're making fun of the fact that he's an ensign and seems like that he'll always be an ensign. But it's been a joke in the Star Trek community for so many years now. And of course, Lower Decks is best at taking those silly things, those jokes, and going wild with it. But I love how one Harry Kim, makes it past his fate and gets promoted. And he actually ends up being the bad guy of the episode and then getting blown up. So, maybe being an ensign forever isn't such a bad thing, But how could he not shine this episode? I mean, there's 8 of them. I mean, 8 times the Harry Kim in this episode, so he has to stand out.
Yep. Although I think it's interesting how many Harry Kims there were. Like, was that part of kind of saying, oh, I see how Brent Spiner seems to be like somebody who's had more roles in Star Trek universe than anything else. We'll go ahead and give Garrett a big head start by just giving a whole crew full of Harry Kims.
If you had a choice to be any character that appeared in this episode, which one would it be and why? Scott, I'll let you start with this one.
I'll echo what Dave was talking about and go with T'Pol. Taking on Curzon's Katra, which I don't know what that would feel like. Like, it feels like it would be a lot to hold in the brain. But to experience all the lifetimes of Curzon, including the experience with Cisco before DS9, I assume. I've always been interested in learning more about the old man. At the same time, there's kind of a Shepherd book quality where I don't really need to know those older stories, right? But it would be fascinating to kind of learn more about them.
Yeah.
Dave, what about you?
It's the same answer for me. I'm going to Paul again for this answer for exactly what you said. I couldn't imagine what it would be like to get to know the experiences of someone's life experiences, like that. Getting to know and see everything they saw, getting to know everything they knew, had to be very, very overwhelming. And for that to happen would just be something incredible in itself. So yeah, I agree, Scott. Both of my answers this is for T'Pol.
Well, for me, I think I chose Captain Lily Sloan, or actually any one of the crew of the Beagle.
Good choice.
As much as I tire hearing about the multiverse with other properties, she really convinced me with her speech, just like she convinced Boimler. Fascinating, it really would be fascinating to explore these different realities and, being able to see what could be or what you just missed or what shouldn't be. I just, when you think about it, the possibilities are endless. And,
It is.
it would be interesting to see, how Earth, how the universe, how Starfleet, all that would have progressed if things have been different.
Yeah, that's a good answer, Wayne.
Okay, now comes my favorite part, where we dive deep into the episode and see if we can't pull out any Easter eggs. And boy, we did in this episode. There were a lot. With Lower Decks, there's always a lot, but this episode had a lot. To start off, the USS Axamander is a Defiant-class starship, just like the USS Defiant in Deep Space Nine. Apparently, Dr. Louis Zimmerman got his long-term medical holographic program up and running in his universe. In the regular Star Trek universe, he tried to create a new version of the hologram using Dr. Julian Bashir's form, but it was stopped when it was revealed that Bashir was a genetically enhanced human. That was in the Deep Space Nine episode, Dr. Bashir, I Presume. That's a really good episode from the series. I suggest you all go out and watch that. It's also mentioned that T'Pol was married to Trip Tucker for 63 years in her universe. But in the regular Star Trek universe, T'Pol and Tucker ended their relationship, and Tucker was killed in the line of duty in the final episode of Star Trek Enterprise, which was called These Are the Voyages. It seems that the USS Voyager had similar fates in many of the different universes. One of the Kims mentions fighting the Borg and aliens trying to steal their organs. That was a reference to the Vidians from the early years of the series. Also, one of the Kims is wearing a white and black racing uniform that was seen in Voyager's episode Drive. Now, this one I actually found interesting, and I really had to go back and look because I knew it looked familiar, but I had to really do some research. The design for the USS Beagle, that's not a new design. It's a very similar design that was created for a really early version of the USS Enterprise. That version could be seen in one of the pictures that was on the rec deck in Star Trek The Motion Picture, and was also used as a model in the film Star Trek Into Darkness. The Clopians were last seen in the Lower Decks first season episode, Must Ado About Boimler, but they were much friendlier than they were in this episode.
Yeah, they were.
All right, as Scott had mentioned earlier, Captain Lily Sloan and her crew wear 22nd century Starfleet uniforms, similar to the design of the USS Enterprise. But the bridge and the corridors of the Beagle were also very much like the NX-01 Enterprise from that series. You'll also notice that Captain Sloan's uniform is purple, while the rest of her crew's is blue. I'm not sure if this was intended, but I think it might have been because of the changes that the costume department made on the series Star Trek Enterprise. At the beginning of season 3, they had dyed the uniforms blue from their original purple, and I think that they just did that as a little call-in joke. Back to that. And while the production staff were able to get back many of the legacy actors to voice their characters in this episode, they didn't really have to worry about the voice of Curtis on Dax. We mentioned he hardly appeared in the series, but when we did see him, he never said anything, so it just could get anybody to say his voices. And finally, Jolene Blaylock's credit at the end of the episode isn't a mistake. According to producer Mike McMahon, she asked to be credited simply as Jolene.
Yeah, I think a couple other things that kind of stood out to me, and I had forgotten about Frank Owen Smith, who played Curzon in The Emissary.
That's right.
And it kind of seems like this is who the Curzon that we see is supposed to be designed after.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
It more struck with me that it almost seems like Curzon was almost designed to almost resemble Picard, which would have been kind of interesting if Cisco had grown up with Curzon looking like Picard, or at least similar to Picard, and then knowing what happens at Wolf 359. It also felt like maybe the original series was the only series that this episode did not touch on. Like, you get a little bit of Star Trek the Animated Series, you get Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine. Like there were a lot of content from a lot of different series in this one. Thought that was interesting.
I had thought about that. I had actually went through to see if that maybe every Star Trek series had been mentioned, but other than the reference to the fact that there's a Borgified Kirk, just a mention of Kirk, that's the only thing I could find from the original series. And of course, there's no mention to Discovery in this episode, so I didn't left that. But everything else is mentioned. So this way, I see the episode as a love of Star Trek. You know. It's their love letter to all the Star Trek fans. Great way to end it.
You can definitely tell when they got together in the writing room. They're like, we're out of time. We only got one last season, so we need to cram in as much as we can to give nods to all these other series and shows, and that's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did a great job with it.
Yeah,
and
they
it
did.
Just sets us up for a great finale.
Yep,
like
absolutely.
I don't know what's going to happen. It's very interesting that it almost seems like Boimler was saying that whatever universe has to deal with this is doomed.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see where that goes. I would hope it's not, but
yeah,
we'll have to see.
And it's sad that our last episode for this show is coming out on Christmas Day, because that is not a Christmas present we want to give. No. The last episode of Love Lower Decks.
No, but if it's a good episode, then we'll be happy to give it to you.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
It'll be bittersweet, and it would be something that I would continue to just tell people about. Like, if you're a fan of Star Trek, you've got to watch this. You've got to give it a shot.
Yeah. And Lower Decks over the last 5 years has just been an incredible experience. But one of the things that I'm grateful, especially I'm going to bring this up because of this episode, is the fact that so many cast actors and actresses from Star Trek have been able to return to reprise their characters. Actors and actresses that we'd never hear again or see their characters. It's been an incredible experience with everything over the last 5 years.
It's something that I didn't see where this was going when the first season got announced that they were doing a Lower Decks Star Trek animation. I didn't see where they were going to go with this show, but man, it's been one heck of a 5-season ride.
And that's it for this episode of Phasers Set to Stun's look at Lower Decks Season 5, Episode 9. We'd like to open a channel to our listeners and hear just what you thought about the most recent episode and the season in general. Who knows? We might even mention you on a future show. Of course, you can email us at afilmbypodcast@gmail.com. Find us online at afilmbypodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or other social media. And if you're looking for more exclusive content or swag, you can join our Patreon and see what incredible gems are hidden within. A big thank you to our fellow Trek nerds, Scott and David, for joining me on this another fascinating episode.
Absolutely.
Yep. Thanks, Wayne.
Next episode, we take a look at Episode 10, the final episode of Star Trek Lower Decks, titled The New Next Generation. This is the end, and we look forward to warping back to the Cerritos one final time to discuss them in Phasers Set to Stun.